last thing I want to talk about is we got next weekend the big fight between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, which I think is a very intriguing matchup. I think it would always have been intriguing, but I think it's even more intriguing now because Spence hasn't fought since the Porter fight and recovering from the car accident. There's questions that have to be answered about him, his mental state, his physical state, like where's his body at, because getting in shape and then being in a fight are two different things. And then on top of that, he has to answer these questions against this guy who can really fucking crack, who has really good speed, is a really good counterpuncher, maybe a great counterpuncher, and has been more active, not just how often he's fighting, like in his fights, his punch output, I feel like, is up from what it normally would be. So I think Spence is coming in against a very motivated, hungry, and improving Danny Garcia, who's, I think, hitting his prime right now. And I just don't know if you want to be fighting this guy having to answer these questions. Because this is not Sean Porter either, where when Danny comes in, there's a lot of head movement. There's a lot of feinting. There's a lot of more subtle things. Sometimes what there's not a lot of is there's not a lot of punching. And that's maybe where Errol can be a problem for him. But Danny's much more measured coming in than Sean Porter. So he's not just gonna take the punishment that Porter's taking on the way in. It's gonna be smaller bursts, smaller moments. Unless Danny's really like, yo, I'm gonna sit in the pocket, I'm gonna be active, I'm gonna trade with this guy. I feel like if he wants to do that and he can do that, he has a very good chance of winning. I think if Errol is the Errol that he was against Porter and against Kell Brook, I think it's still a difficult fight, but I think he wins. I think Errol would beat Danny even on Danny's best day. But that's only if Errol's at his best. And that's the big if. And that's why I'm not going to make an official prediction on this fight, because I'm not going to pretend to be the oracle. I don't know where Spence is at. But what I do know is when he's at his very best, he's arguably the best welterweight in the world. And we have yet to have any reason to doubt that anybody other than Terrence Crawford could beat him. So I just don't know. If he's not the fighter he was a year and change ago, it's going to be very difficult against this guy to answer all those questions. I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm probably going to buy that fight as well. And we'll see, man. It's another case of the best fighting the best. It's like the complete opposite of Mike and Roy. The fight genuinely deserves the prestige because it's two of the top 4 or 5 welterweights in the world fighting each other. And hopefully Terrence Crawford can fight the winner of this fight. That's all I'm going to say.